The MLB The Show 22 tech test is live, and we're getting an early peek at some of the key gameplay features in this year's game. Now, we won't know all the context behind the decisions the San Diego Studios team has made until the gameplay feature premiere comes out on March 3rd. The premiere is set to go into detail on pitching, hitting, and fielding. And if the tech test is any indication, the improvements will be somewhat incremental, but a lot of polish and quality of life improvements are quite noticeable in this year's game. Regardless, in this video, we're going to go through 5 major gameplay features in the MLB The Show 22 tech test. Now, before we get started, please consider subscribing. I'll be covering all the MLB The Show 22 news on the road to launch on April 5th. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. Number 1, the PCI Anchor system. New to this year's game is a PCI Anchor system that allows you to adjust the resting place of your PCI when in zone hitting. By clicking into the right stick, you can shift to one of 9 locations in the strike zone to assist in hitting those certain pitches in the zone with better accuracy. Controlling the PCI is one of the most important aspects of the game alongside pitch recognition, and this feature really aims to support new and developing hitters for reaching those hard to reach places. Now, I played around with it a lot in custom practice and found that while it's a nice touch, I can't imagine myself using it that much unless going up a really tough pitcher or in a tight situation where I need to anchor high inside or just inside in general. Those are some of the hardest pitches to hit. Number 2, the win expectancy meter. With the new score bug, there's a meter with a notch in the middle of it that goes up and down depending on what's happening in the game. Earlier, we thought that might be momentum to predict fan engagement and player reactions. We've since learned that that is wrong. It is actually a data visualization graphic to show win expectancy or win probability. While momentum would be cool, I think this is also great to see more data presented in the form of graphics in real time that's happening within the game. Thinking about the show track that we've seen before, at any time in the game, you're going to get a sense of what team is more likely to win and what the percentage of that is. That's going to make for great storylines. It's going to give you deep context on really what drastic measures you need to take to be able to win. Number 3, improved batting stances and swing animations. Now, as I was going through and playing in custom practice, I noticed that nearly every key all-star or MVP player got somewhat of adjustment to their batting stance. They also got new animations to deal with inside and outside pitches. I also saw improvements to a lot of players with their load, like Fernando Tatis's Serape technique or Bo Bichette turning the inside shoulder. There were some really cool things that really made each player's load feel different than just that can animation that we've seen in the past. And when I was checking out some of those players, I came across Tim Anderson, who had this wonky animation play while he was trying to hit outside pitches. Now, this is just a tech test bug, but really what this helped us see is that there is some changes that they're trying to make on what animations trigger on different pitches. It makes hitters feel so much more real and unique, and I really like it. In addition to that, some new stances really stand out, such as Fernando Tatis Jr.'s, Mike Trout's, Giancarlo Stanton's, Cody Bellinger's, Joey Votto. There's just so many. I really want you guys to go in custom practice and play with all these different hitters and see just how improved their batting stances and load animations are. Number 4, fielding animations and perfect throws to second and third. It looks that fielding is of key focus this year with some new infield and outfield animations to support perfect throws, and not just to home anymore, but also to second and third. I also wonder if without the perfect throw, but as contextual throws to first base, and we'll talk about that why, because I've got an interesting clip to show you here in a second. Now, these animations bring a ton of polish to the game to help avoid some of the delayed throws and tags that we've seen that all drive us insane. This also, of course, rewards a skill gap with a feature that gives a boost to players who can consistently do things perfect, like perfect home runs, perfect pinpoint pitching, perfect throws. And so I hope that they add much more ways to do this across all of the game. This is really going to turn this game into more of an esport where you're rewarded for doing things perfect. Now, back to the animations on throwing to first. I was hitting as Joey Votto, just trying to check out different players, rolled over an outside off speed pitch, and look at this, ground ball to second, a glove flip to first that the CPU pulled off, and I was like, whoa, that looks clean. I had to throw it up on Twitter, and I thought to myself, can I do that as a user? I haven't seen it yet, but I want to know if it can be done. Number 5, minors and amateur difficulty settings. The 2 new difficulty settings were added to the game to support newer players that maybe have a hard time adjusting from beginner to rookie. The minors and amateur difficulty ratings both fall between beginner and rookie and are likely for people who don't want to consider themselves a beginner but are struggling with zone hitting, potentially on rookie. I tried both difficulty settings in custom practice and length, and I couldn't notice an exact difference between, so I'm wondering if there's like a CPU AI difference between the two. Probably the one thing that I noticed is that the PCI zone on amateur is like massive. Like the altitude markers that I use felt like they were as big as the strike zone. I felt like it hit anything. It didn't feel like the actual PCI though, or the results was different, but I felt like it was way easier to see basically how you're placing the PCI with those dots in the middle just being enlarged. The MLB The Show 22 tech test will be running for 5 more days, so make sure you jump in and play. It's free and anyone can play on PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and even Switch. If you're just catching up and want to know all the features in this year's game, make sure you watch the video right here as I've broke down all the key features as well as a lot of other news. So, alright, thanks for tuning into this one, and until the next one, we'll see ya. Peace.